Hey everybody, this is the Violation Gamer again. I just want to show you guys something. This is front bearings and a hub assembly on a 94 Ford Explorer. You kind of missed a little bit. We took the tire off and everything. We pulled the roll pins. If you look, these are roll pins. They just slide through there. They slide in, they lock the caliper on. Okay, now what we're going to do, to get to the front bearing assembly, we have to take that front cap off, which just slides off. This is automatic bearing styles. So what we're going to do now that we have this loose and already have this taken off, we can maneuver this to get it off. And you may have to work it a little bit. These things, you know, they kind of set up after a while. They're brakes, they're not meant to just fall off. They kind of save your life.
Yeah, it might be a little bit of a bad thing.
Just a little bit in that one spot. And that's your brake caliper. Your other brake pads back here. Take it off. This right here. Now here comes the interesting part. This is how to get your hub off, because this hub, as you can see, it's not going anywhere. Now, what you're going to look for with this has a C-clamp style on it. Best thing I've ever found to do with these is to kind of loosen them up a little bit with a punch and just barely tap them. Hold your finger right here. You can usually hold the punch. Usually maneuver it like that. Hold your finger on the back side and just tap it together until you get it off. And once you start getting it loose, it'll mainly just start to come apart on its own. You may have to still hold your finger back there and continue the... It's an awkward... Then you can stick this piece right here, and after you stick it in, you can pop it loose just like that. And then you're going to pull a washer off. It's very important. This washer may be a little bit of a pain in the butt to get off at first, for the reason being is it's also got teeth for the splines to hold itself on there. And you'll see what I'm talking about when I get it off. I'll show you. Just like that. See how it's got the little teeth inside, so it fits perfectly on there. Set that down, and this should release and slide off. If not, you may have to work it a little bit. Just like that, because grease kind of gets a vacuum on it. You pull that off, it should just slide directly off. Okay, now the next piece is, there's a nut right here. There's a big nut right here. But what's funny about this piece is it's also got a little keyway right here that you have to get out. And you may have to articulate it, and it takes a special socket to do that. Where's the socket? Right here. You know, just a standard big size socket. You may have to just maneuver it just a tad bit just to get it to get loose in there. You want it to kind of be loose so you can have some maneuver room to get that keyway out of there. Okay. As you work slowly but surely, you get that little piece out of there. It's kind of a pain. Like I said, this is probably the most time-consuming part of this, besides assembling the hub. Size screwdriver.
We've only got like 14 minutes left on the recording.
Okay, go ahead and pause it. We'll get it out.
Alright, there we go, recording again.
And as you see, as soon as you get that little lock, all it is basically it's just a keyway. As soon as you get that keyway out, you pull this nut off, and after you get the nut off, then your hub and assembly, this front bearing is already going to be loose. So if it falls out or something and just kind of falls down, don't worry about it. Don't freak out. Don't panic. Nothing's really wrong.
You're replacing it?
You're replacing them anyway. And this right here is your hub. This right here is your hub. Kind of a nasty little thing. Okay, the next important thing is
Toby, wait.
on this, the next important thing is right here. This other bearing is locked in by this seal. A real easy way to get it out, of course. They make these special tools called seal pullers. You can when you're doing that, you can take a chance of damaging them. I've always found the best way to do it is just like that. Tap the bearing, back side of the bearing, it comes out with the seal, so the seal doesn't get damaged. So just in case you may have to use the old seal. As you can see, if you look at this grease, it's pretty burned up. The smell is pretty horrible. What we're going to do is we're going to knock these races out, and after we knock them out with a hammer, we'll get the old bearings and put them in. Grab some of my hands up here real quick. When you're working with anything internal, especially with grease or bearings, you want it to be as clean as you can possibly get it. You don't want a bunch of metal fragments or anything like that in there, and because that's just another way to completely destroy another bearing.
Scar it up and everything.
It'll scar everything up, and it'll also cause little divots inside here, which will also make it harder to use. Also harder to get the race in. Okay. And now you can take a chisel, and it might take a minute to kind of unseize them. Best thing I've always found to do to break it loose is just take a punch, and as you'll notice, that race is moving. And this right here is your race. You have to change these. It's recommended to change these with every time you change the bearings. You don't have to, like if you have one that's seized up and you're gonna break it out to get it out, you don't really have to change it, but it's always a good thing to change it because it just works better. You're getting the parts, you need to replace it. Okay, now we're gonna do this a little bit easier. We're gonna flip this around. Try to keep from getting grease as much as you can where the brakes ride. If you do, it's no big deal, but it's just a better idea not to because it can saturate your brakes pretty bad, cause them to slip when you try to stop.
It'll only smell like ass for a little while.
Oh yeah, just a little while. You know, it'll only smell like shit for a little bit. But, you know, sometimes these races can be kind of a pain. You may have to work a little harder at getting some of them out. And I'm going to grab that different style punch real quick. As you notice, it's taking a little bit of time to move. We'll have to probably check to see if there's no grooves cut in it from the bearing wobbling around, catching the race and moving the race just a little bit here and there. And be prepared when you do this, your hands are going to get very greasy and you're going to get very dirty. some mechanics just tend to do that, but since, you know, probably 9 times out of 10 the people that are watching this video and doing this probably don't do this all the time.
This is one of those jobs that has a dirty factor of 10.
Oh yeah, it can be just mainly from just the same thing as everything else. And like I said, you know, it's one of those things, if you don't like getting dirty and you're kind of iffy on it, then I highly suggest you get out of the shop and go buy some tampons and maybe a little bit of Vagisil and just go find a career somewhere else, because you're going to get very nasty in this job line. And there's that. You can go ahead and kill it because it's going to take a little while to clean it up, but like right here, you're looking to make sure, another thing to check for inside here is to make sure we don't have any real bad divots. On this side I can feel some small divots, but nothing that you can't fix. You want to make sure that nothing is, you want to clean it up in there pretty good, nice, get it nice and smooth. For the reason being, if that has any lips or anything in it, this new race that you're going to put in won't fit in correctly.
Going crooked.
It'll go in crooked and it won't line up, and more than likely you'll break the race or the hub if you try forcing it. So the best thing is, if you have trouble with anything, getting anything off, look at what could be stopping you. Because you just, if you try forcing it, 9 times out of 10 the weakest part's going to break, and it's either going to be you or it. So what we need to do now is we're going to prep this and get it all cleaned up, and then we'll put the new races in, and then we'll show you how to pack bearings the new way, which, you know, you can build one pretty easy, a bearing packer. Or you can also buy it, or you know, or you can do it yourself, or you can do it with a tablespoon. I mean, it just depends on how you're raised and what you're around and everything else. Because some shops have them, some shops believe that you can pack them tighter with your hands. Me personally, I love them to pieces. It makes it 3 times faster. But anyways, here's all your new bearings. Make sure before you start any job like this, before anything, if you don't know anything about it, ask someone who might know, because parts people are really hard to trust sometimes, because they can make just mistakes like me and you. We're all human. But this right here is the new race. What you do is you just stick it up in there, and it's going to be really tight, like I'm saying. I mean, it's going to be tight as a fucking nun's cunt, if you honestly want to know the truth. But you'll want to make sure that everything. And this, I've had it upside down because I was trying to put a seal in. Keeps from damaging it that way. But these are special tools. You can buy these. These are bearing and race installers and removers, but you know, no one ever uses them for removing. What you do is stick it in there, and then if you start noticing it gets cockeyed like that, back out just like that. Take your punch or whatever you were using to get it back out, and check to prettiest sound you'll ever hear. And then you'll want to look and see what's preventing you from keeping it straight and why it's not going in properly. And sometimes proper cleaning and wipe down and everything else. But it looks like what I'm seeing right here, looks like we've got kind of a lip right in there. If you can kind of tell, it's got a real hard lip. So what you
get in closer on it real quick.
So I mean, you can see where the little divots and stuff are in it. What we're gonna do is we'll take a. Basically, it's the same basic principle as the Dremel bit right here. And what we'll do is we'll smooth it out in here and make it nice and smooth. It may be a little more rough when we get done, but it'll make that bearing fit in properly.
We're going to do that and clean it all up. On a side note, Vaping Gamer is the one doing the lighting today with this really ghetto rig. And you got me, the Medic Gamer, running the camera rig.
Yep.
So we had a little bit of an entertaining night for all of us. So that's what we're doing at, what is it, like 1 o'clock in the morning?
It is recently,
it's almost 2.
I think somebody got a little punch happy with it.
you know, mechanics, gamers, all of us, we all have this real bad tendency. We just want to stay up
Late nights.
late nights. We do stupid shit while we're here. And like I said, you know, if you guys read my description and everything on here, you're going to find a mixture of bullshit and just random crap that it's probably going to be some of the funniest videos you watch, and then you're going to be like, wow, this guy hurt my feelings. If you're one of those people, I highly suggest, like I said, but go buy you some Vagisil, go find something to do, stay the fuck off YouTube, because I'm going to be there a while. So,
We'll see you in a little bit.
Hire me a Duke so I can do the,
hold on, let me see.
the pole.
I'm recording.
Okay.
We're fucked.
Alright, everybody, we're back. We're going to set this piece in. Take a step back real quick so I can kind of angle my body a little better to get a better swing. And we're also having the same problem on this side. We may have to dress it up either way, which is pretty normal. You may have to do this. I'm getting tired of this monstrous freaking pain in the ass.
It fell.
Yeah.
No.
Ah.
Now, if you want to, you can go ahead.
No. No. No.
Well, hold up. Let's try it first.
Well. Trial and error, dude.
Yeah.
You good?
Ready? All right.
I was recording since you started.
Come on, heifer. Like I said earlier, guys, it can be a tight fit. Like I said, but you want to make sure that most time, whenever they make in most of their hubs, it has a stop right here. It has a solid steel stop. It's built into the hub. You want to make sure that race is pushed directly up against there. Another thing is, you want it to be clean. If you have to make any modifications like we've had to, you want to make sure there's no metal shavings or anything like that inside here, because bearings, especially these right here, these are called tapered bearings. Roller bearings are different, hell, roll pins and everything like that, roll pin bearings and everything like that, they're all different. This is called a tapered bearing. It goes in there, it sits in there just like that, and then the pressure from this being bolted on allows you to spin it. Well, here comes the most important part of this. You want these bearings right here. We're going to take them, we're going to pack them full of grease. So let's go do that real quick.
Not sponsored by Napa
No.
or Snap-on.
I just retarded bearings.
Okay. See this guys? This guy right here is called a bearing packer. You know, if you work around a lot with bearings, things like that, they're pretty, you know, they're pretty common in some shops. Other shops, not so much. Way it works is sit it down in there. You're going to get dirty, like I said. Stick it down on there. You want to make sure that you can roll it back and forth and the bearing doesn't turn. You want to make sure it's pretty tight. And grab a grease gun. Some people, they have electric grease guns, they have pneumatic grease guns. Personally, I like the manual a lot better, because for one reason, you can actually see what the hell you're doing. And if you need to stop after one or two pumps, you can. You don't have to sit there and wait for it to finish a rotation on a motor, or, you know, the air to completely leave the system. Usually you don't clean these off like this. Usually you don't clean them off on there like that. I'm doing it so you guys can see it. Stick your grease coupler on there and start pumping, and make sure you push down hard while you're doing this. so you can make sure that it doesn't lift just you and the cap up. You want it to force its way up through the sides of that bearing. Because when the grease has nowhere to go, it'll either come out the sides or it'll come out the top. As you'll start to notice, you'll see grease coming up through the rollers, coming out the seams of the bearing itself. Okay. As you see, with your finished product, you want to see these little divots coming in. Just smooth them on over, roll them around inside there. Your bearing, like I said, you're going to get greasy.
Look at that POS.
What you want to do is the grease, once you put this inside this race, the grease will 9 times out of 10, it's going to hold itself in there.
Potato.
It's not a
Okay, the next thing is the front doesn't have a seal, the back does, and we need to make sure that we get it put in, and we get it put in right. Like I said, you want to do it right the first time. You don't want to be doing this shit again. If you're a mechanic, you've ever done any rework, you know how shitty this stuff sucks. So we're gonna try to do it right the first time. It don't always happen that way, but you know, it's all a big learning process, especially for you do-it-yourselfers. Because here's the difference between me and you. I do this every day. You can kind of tap it a little bit to get it started. Stick it up here, get a little bit different size. Now, we're flattening out on that side. We may have a burr in there, keeping that seal from holding on. Like I said, you try to do it right the first time, it don't always happen that way. We're gonna have to pull this seal back out, so we'll have to put another one in.
Good thing you got extras.
Yeah.
On accident.
On accident, yes.
I don't know, that was Kenny. He probably did it on purpose.
Let me see some sort of punch.
We're gonna go ahead and pull this out and we'll come back with you.
Guys, we went ahead and got this in. Seals in, nice and flush. You want it to look pretty. You know, besides that little dent right there, you know, because we're bosses. Alright, now we got one bearing left, which goes in the front here, which you guys saw how it came out. Now, you're going to go pack it completely full. The grease that you put inside this, we use regular, just mobile. It's a good all-around grease. It's just Polyurea grease. It's good shit. I like it. Sticky shit. You really would like, whenever you're using anything, me personally, I believe if you're going to do it, you might as well put a little more into it. You know, I mean, I've never heard of an always safe part.
Toby's scared of the camera.
There is no, you know, Dollar General great value bullshit to parts. They make cheaper parts, but you get what you pay for.
Especially with parts.
And I've seen good $20 tubes of grease, you know, do better than $100 tubes of grease, but still. Maybe out of grease.
We'll be back with you after we grease this bearing.
Alright. Oh shit. Well, you're excused. Please step out of my way.
Are you going to grease my fingernail?
I'm gonna grease your thing.
Okay.
You grab the grease gun, I'll grease your thing. Is that what she said?
I got you on recording. It only
That
took
is the vaping gamer.
Grease
He
my balls.
he's a pretty fucking
goofy looking motherfucker.
There's a reason we call him the vaping gamer, is because
He's totally
smokes.
not holding a cigarette right now.
No, this is the new model.
Oh yeah, right. This is that's the old model. That's called the classic vape.
Yep.
It kills you.
A lot
And
faster.
it cools on contact.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people like to say that the new ones kill people still, but you know,
Whatever.
no one's proved it yet.
And you know, we'll just keep smoking them. That's how it goes. And, you know, like I said, this is not a cancer-causing commercial, but this is YouTube cancer. So, I mean, it just makes.
This is YouTube cancer.
Okay, like I said, that upper bearing might fall out because, you know, it's kind of reminds me of a lot of shit. It's, you know, it's too tight of a hole, you know, and I've never heard anybody complain about a hole being too tight. But, you know, like I said, it's part of it. Got to make sure everything lines up. Clean the excess grease off. Don't be that jackass that leaves like a mound of grease. And plus, it's kind of unethical. You want to leave it kind of greasy. I mean, just to make sure. The way this works, best way to do this next part is make sure you wipe all this stuff up. Don't want it getting dirt and shit in there.
And then even faster than it's gonna get in there.
Yeah, because what you're trying to prevent is to keep grease out. Keep dirt out.
Grease out.
Oh yeah, you want to keep grease out too. You want these motherfuckers to explode on contact. Looks like that's been broke. It don't matter. Looks like someone tried driving it off with a punch.
Was that actually you?
I was curious.
Face of shame.
I was not a happy camper at that time.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Like I said, you take your special socket for special people, just like everybody out there.
That individual over there.
It's not broke. It's just wounded.
It's far from wounded. It's more like it's fucked up.
It's not broke. It's maimed.
Still works.
And you guys are probably wondering why the fuck is there gamers working on cars? Because we use this to save money so we can buy more games. We're a bunch of lazy ass freaks and we just don't, you know. I mean,
Just
we just
fuck
don't-
GameStop.
Yeah, fuck them all.
No, I'm kidding, but
No, don't fuck
I'm a
GameStop.
PC gamer, so you know.
I'm
they don't
I'm
really
just a
help me.
gamer.
Steve.
Yeah, Lord Gaben.
Oh, hail, Gaben.
Even though I random lynched you in that Town of Salem match, I'm sorry about that, but I couldn't resist.
Okay, now here comes the fun part. This right here is your little keyway we fought with earlier. You stick it in here and you slide it. You'll notice that it may be a little harder to use or harder to get in. You know, I mean, you may have to do this particular thing. You may have to adjust this nut just a tad bit so you can get it in. You know, it's kind of like a girl. You got to work it in just a little bit before you can just kind of go balls wall. Because some girls are, you know, more tight than other. And
Women, share your puss.
hey, you know, if there's a poor dude walking around that just looks like a moping ass kid, you know, you should do him a favor and I mean, fuck his brains out. That's all I gotta say. You know.
Unless he looks like some raunchy old man.
Yeah, if he looks like the vaping gamer, please refrain from, you know, feeding the animals.
Or the animal likes to be fed.
Fucking horrible. PSA. Hey, look, there's that nasty fucking gash. Mr. Punch. One Punch Man over
Hey,
here.
It's fine. It works.
Oh yeah, it worked for a minute. See, as you noticed, slides right in after you kind of manipulate it back and forth. Next thing you want to do is check. You want to roll your bearings. You don't want them to spin like they're on a button, like a button on a shithouse wall. You just want it to turn, you know, pretty easy, pretty smooth. If you feel it catch anywhere, it's probably too tight. A lot of people don't pay attention to that shit. It rotates pretty smooth. So now we can put the other part of it back together, which is this right here. And you'll notice this is just a tad bit smaller. You'll notice this has a spring in it. So whenever you slide it on, it's going to expand open to slide up on there. Usually there's a gasket that slides on here. This side didn't have one.
What?
This side didn't have one because for the simple fact that it was, unless it's down in the socket, which I don't see it in there, they don't have replacements for those. The only way to get that replaced is to start, you know, digging around and finding the next possible best
finding the exact year and model of your local POS and tearing it out of it.
Okay, and that just slides on. Make sure whenever you're putting this on, it does have a little notch for the keyway to slide up on there. Make sure that this little notch right here is, I mean, you should be able to see it right there. That's that little notch I'm talking about. You want it to slide up on there smoothly. You don't want to have to fight it. The next part is the easy part, which is, you know, quite frankly, it is the easy part. You remember, it's just vice versa, what we did before. You do this, slide this on. It's gonna be tight, like I said. You know, you want it to be tight. You know, you don't want it to be like your first girlfriend, but you want it to be pretty close. Now there's some of them that just, you know, your daily whore ain't gonna do. She's just gonna have to be, you know, there's some of them that's gotta be tight as fuck. And then there's some things in the mechanic world that, you know, that you don't want them to be too tight. I need a punch. Or I can just do this. And also do this shit all kinds of ways. Don't force too hard on this, because you can damage the splines, and believe me, it's a pain in the ass trying to get them to go back together. So another thing you can do is just kind of give it a little help. Sometimes subtle and easy is better than hard and fucking drill our brains out. Make sure that, I mean, look, you're gonna find grease already in it. You try wiping some of the main stuff out. Make sure your seal is still good. There's a seal right here. Make sure it's still good. Pump a little grease in here, not much. You don't want to fill the cup up. I mean, if you see nothing but green when you smash it on, if it like covers the top of this,
That's too much.
That's a little too much. I mean, you want it to be quite, you know, pretty simple. You may have to work it back and forth to see right exactly where. There you go, just like that. It slides right on. No fight, no mess, no bullshit, no drama, no teenage high school girlfriends, whatever. Now you'll notice that we're back to where we were before. We're back to what you guys walked into, except for the calipers, which we'll put the brake pads and everything on. Number one rule when you're doing anything with brakes, check them, because look, these are still pretty good. Some brakes you may have to kind of pop a screwdriver in them to get them to loosen up a little bit. They might be a little tight at first.
Kind of like a virgin on prom night.
You know, and you can also push on them from the outside, but you want to make sure that you get a, no matter what you do, you get them good. And there's your outer brake pad. This right here is a brake caliper collapsing tool. They're really handy dandy to have. What you do is you stick this back plate right here.
You can also make it out of a caulking gun.
Oh yeah. You can also do it out of a lot of things. You want to compress this till it is completely flat, until you can no longer compress it anymore. And when you get to the point where you can't compress it anymore,
go farther.
Fucking shove it deeper and make her scream louder. You want it to be pretty nice and tight.
If you don't have one of these, you can use a C-clamp.
Well, yeah, well, you can use a C-clamp with the old brake pad. Works great. Actually works better than those do. Check this. A damn light gets in the fucking way. Put your brake pad back on the back side. If you can't figure that part out, it's pretty, you know, then you should.
Self-explanatory.
It's got little notches. It fits in. Slide it up on there. Take your old brake pad, this brake pad right here that you pulled off, and you're just going to kind of stick it back on there the right way. Make sure you do it the right way, because they will fit both ways. It's kind of comical to watch the guys do it wrong way. Just not whenever, you know. Brakes, you know, you should have a conscience when working on brakes, for the reason being is that's somebody's, you know, life. That's somebody's life you're messing with. So make sure you get them nice and tight. Now this dude, personally, I could give a shit less, honestly. But if he did wreck, I'd probably get a hell of a laugh out of it.
They're related, by the way.
Another thing is, you want it to line up. You want it to fall together pretty smoothly. And I'll blow all this dirt and everything off of here. But you want to put these together. Make sure you wipe any excess grease off. If you have grease on it, I mean, it won't hurt it too bad. The brake pads will mainly burn that off. Or you can also get a can of brake cleaner, you know, which we don't have on hand right now. But either way, don't use WD-40, please, because you will have a fire under your side. You slam on the brakes, those brakes will ignite and catch that WD-40 on fire, and you'll be running around on the freeway like a chicken with your head cut off. And I will want to see that video.
Yeah, we can go ahead and close out of this. Everything else is pretty much what we've already done. Pin everything back together real quick.
Oh, yeah.
You want to close out of this?
Yeah, guys, if you have any questions, comments, subscribe, like, say fuck you, kiss my ass, I don't care. You know, if you wanna subscribe, or if you have any ideas of anything you wanna see, car-wise, game-wise, you know, if you just wanna say, hey, get drunk and punch, you know, the vaping gamer, cool, I'm down with it. Just, you know, whatever. And as always, from the Violation Gamer, fuck you and have a nice day.